Hello, John here again, and in this video I am going to show it's a blast from the past. Right, I have been, as you know from my videos, I've been running through all my code that I wrote when I was a teenager and looking through all the programs that I'd done and running them and just being generally amazed at what I did when I was a teenager. And one of the programs that sprung out I thought I'd share with you guys because it was such an pivotal program that I'd written that changed the way I used the computers when I was a teenager. Now, as you remember, in the VIC-20 days, that the only way to get programs into the computer was via the cassette deck or the data set. And as most of the people of my age will remember, if you had a big program, it used to take forever. You know, go away, pour yourself a glass of milk, sup the glass of milk, have a biscuit. Then when you finished your biscuit, you'd pour another glass of milk, ask mum for another biscuit, and then add another one. And then you'd go back, and only then would it have saved it or loaded it or verified it. So, as a teenager, I decided that enough was enough, and I knew enough to be dangerous at the time. I was quite achieved at programming in 6502, and so I thought I'd write my own load, save and verify routine for the dataset, because I wanted to be able to save the data quicker onto the tape so it would load quicker. And as I've been looking through all my programs, I come across this program that I called Hyperload. So what I thought I would do is I would share it with you guys, and so you could see the program that I'd written that allowed my family, as in my brothers, my mum, my dad, when they and this was primarily on the VIC, and then I converted it to the 64. So the version you're going to see is the 64 version, but originally it was on the VIC-20. So I could load the programs that I'd written into the VIC a lot quicker, and unfortunately I've lost all the tapes. Well, let's just say I haven't found them yet. So I haven't lost them. They are somewhere in this house, somewhere, where all the tapes were all in Hyperload, as I called it, Hyperload format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the Commodore 64 version, yeah, because that's what everybody knows and loves, and also it's I can demonstrate it physically as well, yeah, because I always have my 64 out. The VIC is packed away at the moment. I could get it out, but it would take me about 20 minutes to find it. But the 64 is always out, so I thought I'd show you the 64. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you it inside the emulator and how it works, and then we're going to I've got the 64 set up already. We're going to go to the real thing, and we're going to see it live as well. So we're going to compare and contrast any differences. Alright, so that's the story behind why I attempted to write this Hyperload routine for the dataset. Was purely because when I was a child, because we only had the one VIC and then eventually the one 64, we only had 30-minute time slots. You know, when you write a program and it takes 10 minutes to load in, then you've only got 10 minutes to work on it because it's going to take you 10 minutes to save it, and then your mum goes, "John, time's up, but Mum, I'm verifying it, and then it takes another 10 minutes to verify. And that's the main reason why I wrote this. I wrote this to make it quicker for me. So here we go. So I'm going to load up the emulator, and we'll auto start with my program. So I've just got to remember where I put it. Where did I put it? Oh yeah. Need to go up. Okay. So I think it's program 13. Yeah, as you can see, these are all the programs I wrote, and I wrote quite a lot, and these are only the C64 ones. But there it is, Hyperload. So I'm going to load it and attach it, and there we go. So I've just loaded it in, and it searched it, loaded it, and then it's run, and it comes Dalesoft presents Hyperload. Now this is what I used to call myself as a child, and I still do, because I've got the domain name, and that's my email address and stuff like that. But the beauty of this now is it overrides the standard the standard load and save routine. So I'm going to show you exactly how this is going to work. So I'm going to just move this up because I want the important bit is the bottom bit. So I'm just going to make sure that this doesn't go outside the frame. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type. I'll just do a list so you can see what it looks like. Right, so it's a purely machine code program. Right, so I'm going to do new, and then I am going to attach one of my D60 with a big program on it. Yeah, that looks okay. We'll do that one, and we'll load. I think it's 04 star, 8. So as you can see, this is a machine code, and I think this is the machine code monitor. Hang on. There we go. And I'm doing a video series about writing a machine code monitor at this very moment, where we're developing it from scratch. And as you can see, Dalesoft, which is me. Right, so this is something like maybe 3,000 lines long. Oops. Where's the minus sign? There we go. Nope. Oops. Doing it again. There we go. So that's transfer, that's exit, and all the subroutines that go. So it's 1284 lines long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount a tape image, and so I've mounted the tape, look, and we're going to save this to that tape image. So here we go. So here we go. So hyper test, save hyper test, and we're looking at the counter down here. Yeah, so this is going to save it in my Hyperload format. So press, so go into the controls, press record, and away it goes. And straight away, have you noticed the screen hasn't gone blank? Because I didn't like that. When I was loading and saving, all you was looking at was a blank screen. It was boring. So I made sure that the screen stayed on, and the border showed you exactly what was going on. So it's saving the data at the moment, and so we're at counter 10, and we'll just let this finish. So it shouldn't be too long. I'll speed this up so we can get to the end pretty quickly. And there you go, we got to tape counter 027. Right, so I'm going to rewind this. Rewind. And I'm going to tell it to verify. So that's now rewound. So here we go. Tell it to play. There we go. And as you can see, the screen doesn't go blank. The blue, red and green says it's waiting for the signal. There you go, went to the blue, now it's found the header. And my routine actually tells you how much memory it's going to take up. So we got to 27, so this will verify up to 27. So I'll speed it up so we get there. There you go, and as you can see, tape counter 27. So we'll rewind this. We'll tell it to load. Right, press break, and that was the hyperload. So it took 27 counterpoints to work. Now if I do run, stop and restore and still do list 1200 onwards, yeah, so the program's still there, look. So now, because I've done run, stop and restore, the save command, I'm just going to call it test, it's going to be normal, because at that time I didn't know how to override the jumpers at the time for run, stop and restore, like I did with Kaidos and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you the difference. So remember, the important number is 27. Yeah. So with my hyperload, it took 27 tape counters. So I'm just going to save this. I'm not going to verify it. I'm going to save it and see how many counter points it takes, just using the normal save. So here we go. So I'm going to press record. And as you can see, it's dropped back to the standard Commodore save and load routines. So the screen's gone blank, you don't know what's happening, and all that jazz. So to make life a little bit easy for you, I'm going to fast forward this bit and we'll see what counter number it gets to when it's finished. Remember, it's exactly the same program I'm saving that I did with hyperload. So I'll see you when it's finished. Right then, there you go, it's finished, and some time later, quite a while, we got up to counter 116. So my hyperload is 4 times faster than the standard Commodore load and save routine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer over to the real thing and show you it work on the hardware. So because I don't want you thinking that I'm cheating with using the emulator, I want to actually show you on the hardware. So if you give me a second, I'll transfer over to there and away we'll go. Alright, see you in a bit. Bye. Hello, John here, and as you can see, I've got the 64 set up with my dataset, and it's got a C90 tape in it, so it's going to take lots and lots of programs on it. And hooked up to the 64, I have got my SD to IEC. Now that's the one I use for the Commodore 128, and the reason I've got that one in is because behind the scenes I can piggyback the tape interface into the SD to IEC power supply. As with the normal one I use, which is this one, there is no way of piggybacking onto the tape thing. So luckily I have many of these, yeah, because I've got one for the VIC now, I've got two of these for the 64s, I've got that one for the 128, but in this case it's working on the C64, which is on the TV. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the recorder and then show you Hyperload working on the hardware. Alright, so what I'm going to do, just to prove to you that I am working on the hardware, I'm just going to put Alright, so when I switch over to the capture device, that's what you should see. Right, I will talk to you in a couple of mo's. Take care. Right then guys, I've back on the 64 and capturing directly from the 64, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the Hyperload program from my SD to IEC. So let's see what's on there. Right, so it's 13. Okay, do a list. So as you can see, it's just a machine code program, so I'm going to run it and it should come up with Dalesoft presents Hyperload. There we go. So do new, and we're going to load in 04, which is the machine code statements for my machine code monitor that I wrote when I was a young lad. That was many moons ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record the cassette dataset using the camera while I'm capturing this, and hopefully, because I've bought some new video editing software which I'm learning to use, I'm going to be able, hopefully I'll be able to do it. If I don't, I'll be using a normal system, and I'll insert screen captures. Right, so it's loaded it in. So if I list 1200 onwards, there you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the program using Hyperload. So hyper test. Here we go. Let's record and play, and away it goes. So we started at 0 and we'll just let it go through. There we go. So this is going to take a minute or two, so I will let it record and I'll speed it up in the editing software. So I'll talk to you in a minute. Right, we're back, and the counter on the clock is just crossed the 27 to 28. So I'm going to rewind the tape. Rewind it, and then we're going to do verify. Press play on the tape. And as you can see, the background is changing colours as it's finding the signal. There we go, found hypertest, and there's the start and end. So we'll do the same again. I will speed this up so you don't have to wait the couple of minutes that it does it, and I'll see you at the end when it's loaded. And there we go, it's verified it, and we are at counter 02, just gone 027 onto 0228, and that is the hyperload system. So I'm not gonna save this program normally because it will take forever, and you've seen it on the emulator how long it takes to do this using the normal Commodore save routine. So what I'm going to do is go back to the computer, and I'm going to show you what I'm trying to do because I've lost the source for this. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll see you in a minute. Right, so we're back at the computer. And what I've done is I've taken my program, and in CBM Project Program Studio by Arthur Jordison, sorry, I have done a file import binary file. Yeah, so if you do this, you end up, and you have to find the file you want to import. So let's go to that file. Here we go, so there's the pro, so it's 13. There you go, hyperload, and you click open, and it says how would you like to import it. So I want to import it as assembly code, as assembly, and I want to take the first 2 bytes of the program. Yeah, and so when you do OK, it imports it, and there it is. So this is all the hyperload code. So there it is, a whole lot of it. So, oops, saying there it is, the whole lot of it, and you can't see it. Here we go. So I go back. So it started at 0801, which is right because that's where the program starts. So this is the basic bit that says SYS blah 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 blah, and what it does, it fires from here onwards, and so it's literally taken the program and disassembled it into an assembly stream that we can work with. So I copied that, and then I pasted it into CBM Project Studio, and I've started to reverse engineer it because I'd lost my source code. So I'm running through it, and as you can see, I'm starting to put all the labels in and stuff like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on working with this, but also when this video comes out, I'm going to actually put the program onto my GitHub account so you guys can download it, because I know quite a lot of people want to still use the 64 as a 64 and use the tape and disk drives and all that. Well, now if you want to just carry on being the true retroer, here is a program that will allow you to save your stuff 4 times faster and take 4 times less tape. So I hope you enjoy it, and what I'll do is when I've finished reverse engineering my program, I'll put that on GitHub so you guys can see exactly how you write your own load and save routines, well, for the tape deck anyway, and hopefully and I'll do a video explaining it, of course, and then you guys can play with it how you want and tweak it, make it do different things. So I will leave you with that, and I will say I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. I'd like to thank all the patrons that are contributing to my channel. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. Thank you very much.